Hello, I'm Professor McCoy, and today I want to talk about Aristotle's view of the soul. Now, ordinarily when we think of the soul, especially in the modern context, we think of a supernatural element or an immaterial element of especially human beings. But this isn't exactly what Aristotle meant, clearly. Aristotle meant something much broader than that. Now, for Aristotle, human beings do have souls. However, humans aren't the only things with souls. Right? For Aristotle, anything that is alive can be described as having a soul, because Aristotle defines the soul as that which is the internal principle of motion or change in a living being. So if something is alive, what that means is it has a soul. And what that means is it is capable of moving and changing itself according to certain forms and patterns. So another way of putting this is that the soul is the substantial form of the body, of whatever body it is, of whatever living thing it is. So this comes back to Aristotle's four causes, the efficient, final, material, and formal. And if you're not familiar with that distinction, I also have a video detailing that. Actually, a couple of videos detailing that distinction, which I'll link in the description, and one of them will be in a card as well. With that, though, the soul of a living thing is its formal cause, just like the body is its material cause. So what are the traits of a soul, and what differentiates souls from each other? Well, for Aristotle, there are three kinds of souls. There is vegetative souls, which plants have. There are sensitive souls, which animals have. And there are rational souls, which rational animals, such as human beings, have. And I say such as human beings since Aristotle defines a human being as a rational animal. So whatever kind of creature would have a rational soul, it would be, by Aristotle's definition, a human being. So, if other creatures were to develop rationality, say if for example, dolphins are a lot smarter than we thought, or there are intelligent alien life, or anything like that, they would be, for Aristotle's definition, human beings. So I'm just going to use the term human beings to refer to rational animals. Those are essentially interchangeable, at least as far as Aristotle is concerned, and as far as I'm going to be using it in this video. So we'll start at the lowest level of the soul, the most simple kind of living thing, which for Aristotle is the vegetative soul, or the soul of a plant. And yes, Aristotle does say that plants have souls, in the very same way that he would say that animals have souls and human beings have souls. That is, plants develop and grow. Right? They're capable of, they have this internal principle of development, of change, of motion in the Aristotelian sense. On that note, I also have a lecture on Thomistic terminology, which goes into what Aristotle means by motion, and therefore what Aquinas takes him to mean by motion. That'll also be in the description if you're not familiar with what that means. Motion and change for Aristotle are more or less interchangeable. So plants, right, have a soul, and that's what makes them able to grow from a seed to a tree, say. So to look at a specific example of this, I want to take us outside. So let's go. Okay, so what we have here is a magnolia tree. This has what Aristotle would describe as a vegetative soul. So, like I mentioned, Aristotle does hold that even plants have souls because, again, a soul is just the essential form of whatever kind of matter it's informing, so whatever kind of living thing. So, since a tree is living, we can say that it has a soul. So what is it? Well, it's the principle of development and change. So it's the principle of the tree. It's what about the form of the tree makes it capable of growing, what makes it capable of transitioning from a seed to a tree, and what makes it capable of producing more things like itself. So it has essentially two powers. So the vegetative soul has the power of nutrition, so it's able to take in nutrients. In the case of the tree, it's taking in sunlight through its leaves, and it's taking in water and some other materials from its roots. And it's also capable of producing more things like itself. It has the power of reproduction, which is what these things are for. Right? So these are essentially seed pods. They're pollinated when they're flowers. They turn into these, and then they disperse seeds. So more magnolia trees can sprout out from them. So these two things are what allows for a tree to be a living tree. So if a tree is alive, that means it's capable of taking in nutrients, capable of growing, and capable of reproducing itself. On the other hand, we have this over here. This, which is a dead tree. You might recognize this from a previous video. This is a dead holly tree that didn't do so well in the backyard. It is no longer capable, as you can see, no longer capable of growth, taking in nutrients, or reproduction. Unfortunately, that means this tree is dead. So to say something is dead is the same thing as to say that it no longer has a soul of its particular kind, right? So this tree no longer has a vegetative soul, which is to say it no longer has its essential form. And another way of saying that is it's not a tree anymore, right? Because this is dead, right? What it was, it no longer is. It's not a tree. It's a piece of wood. And maybe in a few cases, right, it's food for moss, say, for instance. But it isn't a tree, because a tree is defined by its soul. And its soul is its capability, its vegetative powers, its capability of nutrition, its capability of reproduction, and its ability to grow. So this is a tree. This, because it doesn't have a vegetative soul in it, was a tree. All right, so let's head back inside and we can talk about the next kind of soul. Yeah, you. I need you. All right. So, I brought my cat back from our little journey. This is Angel, and she has the next most sophisticated kind of soul, which is a sensitive soul, which is the kind of soul that an animal has, according to Aristotle. So in addition to the plant soul's powers of nutrition and reproduction, as you go up the levels of sophistication to more and more complex and closer to rational souls, you maintain and you keep the same powers of the lower parts. So, Angel, as an animal, has a sensitive soul, which also has both a sensitive part and a vegetative part. So she is naturally capable of nutrition and reproduction, just like the tree is, the living tree at least. That said, she's spayed, so she's not actually capable of reproduction. But that doesn't mean that the kind of being that she is, right, a cat, isn't naturally capable of reproduction in a certain way, right? But in addition to these powers, she also has powers of locomotion and sensation. These are the characteristic parts of the sensitive soul, where we get the name sensitive from sensation. So in addition to feeding herself and making more cats, presumably, under normal non-domestic circumstances, Angel can also see things, she can smell things, she can hear things, she can feel me petting her, and she can taste her food. In addition to that, she can also walk around and move around on her own, right? She isn't rooted in one place like the tree is. So she has these additional powers that that inform her being, and she has these particular aspects of her form allow her to not just eat, not just take in nutrition, but to find food and eat it. Right. So that requires these additional powers of perception, and locomotion. Like that, she tried to get away from me. Oh, and she even communicates a little bit. That's different. Communication is a kind of it relates to the sensitive soul, in a sense. So being able to make noises is a kind of locomotion. So it's a kind of movement. And then being able to perceive noises, whether they're my noises or she might perceive other cats' noises. That's involved in the power of sensation, so hearing in particular. All animals have these kinds of powers in addition to vegetative powers. Now, as you add more complexity to the soul, as you add sensitive powers to the already existing vegetative powers, so as you move from plant to animal, the vegetative powers develop. They change how they're carried out in a way, right? So, a cat reproduces in a different way than a tree. Right? Cats don't have seeds. Cats need other cats to reproduce. They need to move. They need to find mates. All these sorts of things, which are different than merely, pollination and germination that you find in plants. In addition, nutrition, this other characteristic power of the vegetative soul. A cat has certain power, has the same power of nutrition, right? They can take in nutrients, both, food and water. However, they also, like a cat, she needs to go and find food. So these additional powers that she has, the powers of locomotion and powers of sensation, allow her nutritive power to act in a new way, act in a different way. She's not just capable of taking in nutrients, photosynthesis. She's capable of eating, right? She's capable of hunting. She's capable of different modes of nutrition and more sophisticated modes of nutrition than the plant is. So these additional powers that the soul has, it changes how the lesser powers are used, how the lesser powers are actualized, how they're enacted. So, to review, so vegetative souls like the tree outside, they have nutritional powers, and they have reproductive powers. They can grow and they can produce more of them, more like themselves, more living organisms. Animals like Angel, in addition to having those vegetative powers, also have sensitive powers, which are locomotion, so moving, and sensation, so seeing and hearing. Now, we can move up next to rational souls. And for that, I need to get rid of the cat and go get someone else. So give me just another moment. Yep, thank you. There we go. All right, so this little rational animal, or little human being, is Saoirse. This is my daughter. She's only about 5 months old now. But she has the next most sophisticated kind of soul. She has a rational human soul. What that means is that she is capable of, in addition to everything we've already discussed, she's also capable of reason and social interaction. This is why Aristotle refers to human beings as not only the rational animal, but the political animal. So we're capable of forming societies and capable of rational abstraction. This little girl here is capable of doing those things. However, she's not capable of doing them fully yet. So how does that work with her having a rational soul? Well, the kind of soul that something has, right? So the kind of essential form that something has is determined by what kind of thing it is. It's not determined by what it's particularly capable of right now. So she is capable of rational abstraction. Right? She's the kind of thing that is capable of rational abstraction once she is fully developed, right? Once her form has fully informed her matter, right? When she is thoroughly formally caused, if you will. So what this means is that she, if her vegetative powers are allowed to do their thing, and if she is allowed to take in nutrients and to grow, and if her sensitive powers develop and continue to do their thing, if she's allowed to move around and perceive things, right? So perceiving her little toy and perceiving her mom behind the camera, then she's going to develop so that her rational powers can have can fully act or fully actualize. But they are there in a sense. So in what sense is this? This is another distinction that Aristotle makes between potentiality and actuality. Again, for this distinction, I'll invite you to go look at the other previous video lecture that I already linked below on Thomistic terminology. But this is a particular kind of potentiality. So this is what we call, so Aristotle distinguishes between first potential and second potential. So the first potential is something's essential capability of doing something, right? So her capability of, say, speaking, right? She can speak, right? In a sense. Right? She has the kind of rational capacities that allow her to develop language, that allow her to learn English. Right? So if we talk around her enough and we teach her to say things and we teach her to form sentences, she'll learn those and she'll be able to speak. Right? She'll be able to put sentences together and say things. But she can't do that yet. Right? She's not capable of speaking English yet. She hasn't learned it enough. And she's only been here. She's only been around for a few months. So this moves us from first potentiality to second potentiality, which is once she learns to speak English, she will have the potential of speaking English at will, whenever she wants. This is the fully developed potential, if you will. Right? So at that point, once she learns, she'll have the second potentiality, which he also refers to as first actuality. Right? So this is the first instance of actually possessing, say in this case, a language. So this is similar to my my second potentiality to speak, say, Spanish. I'm capable of speaking Spanish, not just capable of learning it. So I actually have this first bit of actuality, but I'm not currently speaking it. Right? So I'm not fully actualizing that potential. So this second actuality, this full actuality that Aristotle talks about, that is the actualization of a second potentiality, right? So like I'm doing with the English language now, right? So I am actualizing my potential to speak English, right? So what does this all mean? What's the point of this? Well, we can look at any given living thing, any given organism, whether it's a plant or an animal or a rational animal like a human being, and we can say that we can say what they are, which is essentially the same as what its form is. In other words, what kind of soul animates, if you will, that particular kind of creature, right? So what kind of thing is Saoirse? She's a human being, which means that she is essentially capable of not only vegetative things, not only sensitive things, but also rational things. So she's essentially capable of abstract reason and essentially capable of entering into a society, right, in the human sense. So she is the kind of thing, a little person is the kind of thing that will develop these abilities to their fullest extent and will be able to actualize them. Right? Angel will not be able to learn English. Right? Angel won't be able to abstractly reason about things, and she won't be able to form a full human society. Right? My magnolia tree definitely won't be able to do those things, and my magnolia tree won't be able to even get up and walk. Right? It's not going to be able to, no matter what you do to it, no matter what happens to it, no matter how much it develops, it's not going to be able to stand up and walk. It's not going to be able to exercise sensitive powers. It's only vegetative. It only has these powers, right? Angel only has the powers that she has, these vegetative and sensitive powers. Saoirse, on the other hand, has a rational soul. So when she fully develops, when she grows up, she'll be able to think, she'll be able to reason, she'll be able to speak, she'll be able to communicate, and she'll be able to be a hopefully contributing member of society, or at least a member of society. Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up there because she threw her toy on the ground and she wants to say hi. Do you want to say hi to the people? No? Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Anyway, that's about all I have to say on Aristotle and his idea of the soul. Next time I am going to talk a little bit about distinguishing Aristotle's view of the soul from some other views of either the soul or of the mind, which essentially for Aristotle is about the same thing. So that'll be for next time. For now, I will say goodbye, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.